Hello. Today we're going to look at EasyBoundBook Pro. I'm logged into the software here, and you can see I'm on my Role Center. And in my Role Center, I have cues in the middle of the screen to give me an indication of kind of what's going on in the system. I've got nothing that's happening that's incomplete from an acquisition, disposition, or conversion process. Provisional Log, we'll talk a little bit about more of that when we're actually in our transactions. And I can see what I've done over the last year. A little bit of housekeeping. At the beginning, when you're going to start to use the system, you're going to create items. Items gives us the shortcuts that we need to quickly and accurately enter the information. A lot of times you're going to have your responsible party set these up. That way you can put the data entry closer to the point of product actually entering the floor. That way you can make sure that data is getting entered in timely, but also that it's correct. So you can see here I've got my item number that I'm going to use to recall this, the description, the ATF attributes. So it's a rifle. I don't need a multi-gun alert. The manufacturer's business automation, the model, caliber. If we're imported, I have that information here. On the right-hand side here, you'll see this information we use to auto-create our serial numbers. So we have a prefix, no space, a suffix. We have the total number of digits, gives us the information of the last character used. If I have permissions, I can override this at the time of acquisition or disposition based on my permissions. It gives me a place to put in the UPC number if we're using those so that I can actually create barcode labels. And it gives me a place to enter in my federal excise tax price that I'm going to use so we can help calculate your federal excise tax. If you're tracking marking variances, you can do that down here. The other point of housekeeping here is typically you're going to set up vendors and customers. The system doesn't care how you use these. We find that it's more helpful for people if you track customers as customers and vendors as vendors. But you can acquire from a vendor. You can dispose of to a vendor. The system doesn't care. It's going to let you do exactly what happens. So if I go ahead and open up the screen here, you'll see I've got my customer number up here. I've got the name, their FFL, their FFL expiry. If I had EINs or their explosive license, I have that available here. Armed forces, other governments. We do have the ability to actually go out and check the EasyCheck. And so you can see here, this is what we have in our system. This is what EasyCheck has. If I want to, I can go ahead and update my system with what EasyCheck has. In this case, I'm going to leave it so that we can show this at other demos. So once this information is set up, I'm ready to do transactions. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my list. I'm going to do an acquisition. So I'm going to go ahead and do a new acquisition. Now in this case, I'm going to pretend like I am manufacturing firearms as business automation. So I've set myself up as a vendor. If I start typing, you'll see my vendor list will filter down based on my criteria. I'm going to go ahead and select my vendor, which in this case is me. My FFL is defaulting in from my vendor record. I can click this button again, and that'll pop out the EasyCheck and validate that for me. So you have it at your fingertips to validate the FFLs as you're entering transactions. I'm going to select an item to acquire. In this case, this is all, again, defaulting from my item setup. So my next number is going to be 1140. I can override this information if I want to. I'm going to go ahead and do a quantity of 10. I'm going to do my multiple serial numbers. Now, I don't have to do multiple serial numbers, but this will show you how quickly I can add them. So you'll see, if I look down here, my starting serial was 1140, and down here is my 10th at 1149. Now, if I want to, if I'm acquiring additional firearms, I can go ahead and select them at this time. So in this case, if I want to do a different AR, I can go ahead and let's do another 10 of these. And I can keep going as many as I want to without having to leave the screen. So this can be a great time saving if you're acquiring multiple different types of firearms in one shot. Now, I have the option of leaving this, and this is what we call an unposted acquisition. So if I go back to my Role Center here, you'll see we've got an incomplete transaction in an acquisition. Basically, that means I've entered the information in some stage, but it's not quite ready. Let's say it's a lunch break. I've started my acquisition. I go off for lunch. I come back. I can pick it up right where I left off. If I'm happy with everything, I hit my commit. Now we have a two-stage process for posting to the bound book. If we go to what we call our provisional log, this is where we can review that information one more time before it hits our bound book. So somebody in the at the end of the manufacturing line has entered in that information on the last screen. They've posted it. They've told the responsible party or somebody else that, hey, this is ready to go. They go to the provisional log and double check all this information. Now, at this point, it's not in the bound book, so I can change any of the information in here that I need to. If it's not correct, I can change it one by one. I could delete the whole thing and have them start over. But the point is that this is a safety measure to make sure that the information that they entered is correct. If I'm happy with everything, I can select them all and post, or I could post individuals as I wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and post those, and those then move from our provisional log to our posted bound book. So if I want to go to our posted bound book and filter by the acquired date, you'll see here are those 20 serial numbers that I acquired. Now at this point I'm going to take a look at, this is kind of the data searching, sorting screen that we use, but we also have our printed report. So if the ATF wants to see something, again, this is going to be filtered down to what I have on the screen beforehand. But here's what the printed report would look like. The description of the firearm, the acquisition information. In this case, nothing's been disposed of yet, so these are all empty. And I can print this, I can save it off to Excel, PDF, or Word. Now I'm going to do disposition, and it's very similar to what we did on the acquisition side. I'm going to go ahead and select a customer, and I'm going to select my Walmart customer that I showed a little earlier. Here again is the easy check that I can validate the FFL as I'm going through. And I've got two ways of entering in the information. If I know the serial number, which I should because I have it in my hand, I can go ahead and key the serial number information here, or if it's barcode, I can scan them. And because the system knows that this RY1140 of 1 is actually related to is the item number 1 AR-15, rifle, model, caliber, manufacturer. So the system knows all of that, and so I can, if I have them barcode, I can just bam, 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 go down the row. Or like I did on the acquisition side, I can do a bulk serial process. So I'm going to key in it started with 41, and I'm going to do 9. Click my multiple serial number button here, and you'll see that those have entered. Again, I have the ability to enter serial notes. If we have the optional document tracking, I can upload ATF forms to this point. Now, if you are doing NFA items or something that needs a form processed, these serial numbers are sitting held to this record. So if I close this and my disposition is staying open, I can't dispose of those serial numbers to any other transactions unless I remove them from this disposition record. So as you're waiting for your forms to get approved, this helps hold them to make sure that they don't get entered in on something else. When I'm ready, I can come back here. I have, let's say I want to print a packing list, so to speak, to go with. You'll see that this is the information as that should be entered into the receiving party's book. This is who we are. We're disposing of it to Walmart, our FFL, their FFL, manufacturer, type, model, model, caliber, serial numbers, gives them barcoded, places to check things in or out. I can print some other labels here, trigger tag, barcode labels, some other things. Anyway, when I'm ready, I can hit my commit button. And again, we have that two-step process. So I can come in here and double check what shipping is telling me. Yep, these are all right, or no, I want to delete these two. I can do all of that here. But in most cases, you're going to validate it. It should be right. You hit post, and that's going to post to the bound book. Now, once it's in the bound book, we still have the ability to make corrections, but now, according to 2016-1, we have to create an audit log to make sure that those records are tracked completely. So if we go ahead, and I'm going to, again, filter to acquired to today, now you'll see we have disposition information for those 10. If we want to look at it in a report, I'll show you our extended report, which has a few more fields. Again, the first 3 columns are going to look the same. the additional columns, we have our book number that it's going into if we have a variance to track multiple FFLs in the same system. This is how we separate those, as well as any notes. So these are both system-generated notes as well as user-generated notes. Again, still can save to Excel, PDF, or Word, or print it to paper. Federal excise tax is for your manufacturer to help you calculate your federal excise tax. And I'm going to 01/01/18 through 12/31/18. Go ahead and take a look at this. And again, it's going to help me calculate what my federal excise tax should be. Again, this is providing you the data. You should definitely validate to make sure that that is correct. We have our customer sales report. So this would allow you to view customer sales information, so you can see it to the AA1 best guns. I've sold 79 firearms based on this date range, Bob Ward and Son 10, so on and so forth. We've got packing lists, trigger tags, barcode labels, the AFMER data report. So this will help you fill out your annual firearms report for the ATF. Again, providing information for you to validate. I can check out this information, make sure that it is all correct as I'm filling in my report. We do have another option here relevant for manufacturers, is our Convert Firearms button here. Now, as a manufacturer, I may have lowers or frames that I originally acquired that later on for further manufacturing turn into a finished firearm. So this process will actually dispose of that frame or receiver and reacquire the finished firearm in one step. So if I go ahead and again pretend like I'm the manufacturer, my first step is I'm going to pick the serial numbers or items that I are disposing of. So in this case, it's my lower, and my starting serial number is going to be 250. And again, I have the same capabilities to either scan or do the bulk serial creation. The next thing I'm going to do is select what I'm turning it into. So from this lower receiver with a caliber of NA to my A1 AR-15, I'm going to click my multiple serial buttons. And again, I can keep going if I want to. Commit them. Now what we'll see in the provisional log is actually two sets of transactions that have happened. I have my acquisition of the 1AR, but I have my disposition of the lower as well. So I can go through and check those. If I'm ready, I hit my post. Now back in the posted bound book, I'm going to show our transaction inquiry screen. And what this does is it allows me to quickly filter out and see in a very neat format of what has happened with a particular serial number. So in this case, I'm going to key in RY0250 of 1. And again, I can fill in any information here as I want to. Do I want to show any corrected records? Only show things that have gone out on a 4473. We don't do electronic 4473, but we give you a place to store that number so that you can quickly refer back. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take a look here. And now you'll see on 12/21 we manufactured the lower, and then on the same date we disposed of that back to ourselves. And you can see here we've acquired in that AR-15. So this serial number has gone in and out. Now if this had gone out to Cerakoting or some other third-party manufacturing, we would have all the outs and ins so we can track everything that's happened throughout the serial number. Again, physically print it, save it as an email. You can attach it off and send it to somebody, whomever needs to see that. One thing we haven't really touched on here in the posted bound book is our filtering capabilities. So if I, oops, turned it off. I can filter and sort on any and all records or any fields in the database. So just by simply clicking on the columns, you'll see it's swapping from assorting to descending. I've got my filters up here, but let's say I want to, something that was acquired today. So T is my shortcut for today. You'll see the screen has updated. And then if I want to add a filter to let's say disposed today also for easy use. And I want the caliber is equal to NA. Oops. So now that's filtered and sorted. Now I can use additional fields if I want to. I could say the manufacturer. I can use, I could go by manufacturer. I could do model. I could do caliber. I can keep adding these filters. I can do ands. I can do ranges of throughs. But this really gives you the power to very quickly and easily sort and filter your bound book and get the relevant information. I do have the option on virtually everything throughout the system, but if I hit my Control E, it will export the data as I have out to Excel for further manipulation, reporting capabilities if you need to. So now you'll see that same data is now in Excel, and I could send this off to whomever I need to so they can get whatever information out of that they need to as well. So one optional feature here we have is our physical to bound book reconciliation feature. So if I want to, I can go ahead and come in here, and it provides me a very quick and easy way to do my reconciliation from my physical to my bound book. So somebody can be on the floor with a tablet or a computer and a barcode scanner and walk around to the shelves and scan the barcodes, or in my case, input the serial numbers and validate. So you see here, it's found the serial number. It's EBB agrees that it is on hand. Key in the next one. Again, you'll see that this one's on hand. Now, if I key in something that it doesn't know about, you'll see my item number is blank, my description is blank. All this information is blank because EasyBoundBook doesn't know about it. It doesn't think it's on hand. And so it very quickly, very easily allows you to see, hey, there's something wrong with this. I can go about my physical and validate all that information. When I'm done, I hit my Get Omissions, and we'll actually go through and grab everything from the bound book that it knows about that I didn't scan, so that I can very quickly find any missing scans and validate that I did get everything that the system was expecting. So that is a high-level overview of EasyBoundBook. There's obviously a lot more things we can talk about, but this should give you a high level. Please contact me with any questions. Thanks. Have a great day.